I've been all over the universe, met hundreds of people, and Planetina's the only one I've ever met that makes me feel like I belong, and you just kicked her out of our house!
Morty, please.
I will never forgive you for this!
Well, it finally happened. That terrible day. Kitty is talking about an Adult Swim cartoon. Took about 70-ish videos, but here we go. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk. I'm here to talk to you about Rick and Morty, or more specifically, Planetina, and her relationship with Morty. All ships have names, but to my knowledge, there isn't one for this couple. So I'll go ahead and name it myself. Mort-Tina. Now this is my first video on the topic, so I should give some background. Rick and Morty is a cartoon, currently airing on Adult Swim, the late night block on Cartoon Network, and it's probably their biggest show to date. It's not that their other shows aren't popular or well known, but I'm sure most of you have watched at least one episode. Even if you haven't, you likely know the general premise. Rick and Morty is about Rick Sanchez, the smartest man in the universe. Rick's an alcoholic nihilist, and because he's traveled around the multiverse, he believes nothing matters. Morty Smith is Rick's loser grandson, but you wouldn't know if I didn't tell you, since Morty never calls Rick Grandpa.
Rick!
Except like once or twice.
Heck yeah! Thank you, Grandpa Rick!
Sometime before the events of the show, Rick moved back in with Morty and his family, after being absent for most of their lives. Rick employs Morty to go on adventures with him, often at the cost of Morty's sanity, optimism, and social life. Their adventures make fun of, or play with, conventional cliches or movies, usually those with a sci-fi theme. One episode played around with the idea of decoys.
I'm a decoy? How do you know about the decoys? They were my idea.
Since Rick has a lot of enemies, he made decoys of the family to act as bait. In most shows, when they have a decoy plot, the decoys would become self-aware and try to challenge their creators. In Rick and Morty,
There's always a decoy towards the end, but those decoys made decoys too, and got lazy themselves. And far enough down the line, there be monsters.
I am so mad he was only in this one episode and it was only as a gag.
You're a monster.
I'm your father. At least I can look more like him once I harvest all this yummy skin. This guy's really into skin.
Unlike most modern cartoons, which have strong followings, Rick and Morty is mostly episodic. The creators fully admit the show is made up as they go along, but there is the air here and there that there's a bigger plot at play, like Rick's backstory or the subplot with evil Morty.
Tonight, the quality of dialogue stops mattering. Tonight, I do that thing I want to do, with the curve thing.
Rick and Morty is one of my favorite cartoons, but I do believe it has issues. One reason I haven't talked about it is I fell out of the show between season 4 and season 5, and it wasn't until last summer that I got back into it. To me, the problem is usually when they don't get the topic they're making fun of, and just rant about it for 22 minutes, often with Rick acting as the crew's mouthpiece.
Been through a lot, and he does not like
Serialized drama.
Right, no drama. Keep it episodic.
Sometimes it's funny, other times it's insufferable. In one episode, Rick buys Morty a robot, only to learn the robot's purpose is to make babies. Rick and Summer track it down to a planet where men and women live separate, and the planet is controlled by the women. Now, a world controlled by women is a cool concept, and I think they can do a plot like this better than Fairly Odd Parents. Well, instead of wondering how this world would turn out, they do the Family Guy thing of just bringing up stereotypes and saying them out loud, instead of actually doing anything with them.
Veronica Ann Bennett, I find you guilty of having bad bangs. You are hereby sentenced to the silent treatment.
Not that it isn't funny, but you know there's more they could have done. And while I do love the fourth wall breaks, they can occasionally get to be too much. Like this line here was way too pretentious.
She died the way she lived, over-serialized.
If you want my opinion broken down, season 1 is good. Season 2 is really good. Season 3 starts out strong and then it slowly fades. Season 4A is slightly better, but except for the first episode, I'm not really yearning to watch it again. The subplots are usually better than the main plots.
Exactly, because no answer would be satisfying.
Let's see the truth. What in the... Ugh.
Season 4B is a step up, but outside of Gaia and the Vat of Acid, most episodes are anticlimactic. Season 5 has some of the show's best, but it also has the episode with the talking horse Spunk. Another reason I never reviewed this show is because I could never pick a topic. Like I said, the show isn't serialized. Most of the characters only appear once or sparingly. Actually, this could be better for me. Imagine the revenue. Instead of making one video about Rick, I can make multiple smaller ones. One about his ego, one about his backstory, one about him and Beth, one about
Many months later.
one about his favorite color, one about, oh, I'm sorry, I got carried away. Instead, I decided on a character I believe was great, but was just missing that oomph. Think of it along the lines of, this is great, but it needs some ketchup. Oh, you only brought gold ketchup? Ugh, I can't eat a Big Mac without ketchup. I guess this'll do. So, let's discuss the episode, The Rick Convenient Mort, and by extension, Mort-Tina. The episode begins with Rick and Morty shopping, when they're hit with acid rain, courtesy of a Saturday morning cartoon villain wannabe, named Diesel Weasel.
My acid rain will destroy all things green and natural, or my name isn't Diesel Weasel.
Why does that sound like a euphemism for a trucker's,
Human horn!
that? Luckily, he gets stopped by a superhero named Planetina.
Your acid rain is an acid pain in the butt.
Hey, it's Diane.
It's the chick in need of a dialogue pass.
Like I said above, the show's strength is making fun of or playing with cliches or movies, often to the point of deconstruction. This episode makes fun of Captain Planet and shows why a character like him wouldn't work in the real world. If you didn't know, Captain Planet was a 90s cartoon about 4 teens who, when they combine their powers, form a superhero dedicated to saving the planet. While its main focus was obviously on conservation, it also discussed other topics you normally wouldn't see in a kid's show, like drugs, overpopulation, HIV. Beyond that, there's not much I can say about it. My only real exposure has been for osmosis, in 2 video essays. The show was your typical cheesy 90s cartoon, and they did what all kid shows did, blather and moan about a topic until the kid gets so annoyed they grow up despite the show. Oh, I'm stuck watching this and not Animaniacs? Well, you know what? When I turn 18, I'm gonna waste all the aerosol I can, eat nothing but red meat, and I'm gonna drive a Hummer. That'll teach Captain Planet. In short, Planeteena is Captain Planet if he wasn't a Chad. She's sweet, plucky, and lovable, doing whatever she can to help the environment and inspire others to do the same, with her lovable catchphrases.
There's only one solution for Earth's pollution. You!
And since she's both an environmentalist and an attractive older woman, Morty does what he always does. He starts thinking not with his brain, but with the branch in his pants.
Your problem.
Excuse me?
Sorry, I wanted to say no problem. You're welcome. And it came out your problem. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
At home, Morty chats with the family, and his newfound attraction to Planeteena begins to worry them, Beth especially.
Morty, I don't want you getting hurt. Please think this over.
I don't want to think. I want to see a girl I like.
Beth cares for Morty? She must really be the clone. Now, one reason I wanted to discuss Planeteena in specific was because of an earlier video. A few weeks ago, I talked about Markiplier and how conflicted I felt about their relationship, especially because of the age gap and how Marco is technically in his 30s. Is it husbandry, or is it me looking too deeply into it? I also used that video as a springboard for discussing relationships between immortals and humans. I didn't know if I should use the same standards all across the board, or if I should just look at each show individually and go from there. With Planeteena, I'm more firmly on the side of, while it's usually weird implication-wise, you have to look at it case by case. Regardless, outliers do exist, good or bad. Sometimes, if the writing is strong enough, you can look the other way. Mort-Tina, for me, is Markiplier done right. It works not only because of the chemistry, but because of the show we're watching. Rick and Morty is a world that doesn't like to be taken seriously, especially when it comes to self-gratification. Rick's best friend dated, and later married, a high school senior. In terms of main characters, Summer herself dated a warlord old enough to be her father. Rick dated a hive mind, going at it with the bodies of hundreds of people, unable to give consent. Despite this, he's still somehow more likable than Star. Actually, I should probably do a video on Unity. Because the show hinges more on comedy, it's much easier to look past what would be a turnoff in another show. Obviously, so long as it is entertaining. Planeteena is a wonderful character, and her and Morty definitely have that appeal.
I told my kids I went out to recycle batteries. All kidding aside, everyone should discard used batteries at proper disposal centers instead of tossing them into a regular waste bin.
It also helps we have Beth acting as the voice of reason.
How old is this woman? She looks very mature.
She's a sentient amalgam of natural elements, so I don't believe age applies to her.
Thanks to her, things don't seem so shoehorned. Despite all the consent issues, come on, let's be real. This is totally in character for Morty. To him, age is nothing but a number. He caused the apocalypse because he wanted a love potion, even if Rick said this was on par with roofieing somebody. He got him and Rick stranded on a planet during the Purge, just because he liked one of the natives. I already talked about Gwendolyn. After he got his his toxins removed, he dated 2 attractive older women. Not to mention, there was a whole episode where he was perfectly willing to let Rick die just to get with Jessica. Even Rick said how crazy that was.
Kinda weird that you were that willing to sell my existence out for some trim, Morty.
In short, this is nothing we haven't seen before, so I'm willing to tolerate it. If you couldn't guess, Planeteena and Morty start something, and Morty tries to get her attention by going to a forest fire, 200 miles away.
Come here, little buddy. Come on. I gotcha.
What? He's been through worse. They hit it off, but there's one issue.
But, Morty, I have kids.
Hey, Planeteena! Morty can relate. Maybe you guys can have a play date. Wait, is Morty Jr. even still alive?
I'll get along with them. I'm a kid.
No, I mean the 4 kids that bring me into existence by combining the power of their elemental rings so I can save Earth from ecological disasters.
I'm sure one question you have about Captain Planet is what happened to him and the Planeteers after the show ended? Did they go on to save the world? Do they still keep in contact? Or do they only see each other at weddings and funerals? Well, Rick and Morty answers that. They all grew up to become 4-letter D words, who treat Planeteena like a piece of property, and force her to go to campaigns and events against her will.
Hey, Tina girl, have you gained weight?
Well, I had a plant-based donut yesterday, just a half.
Sugar is worst thing for figure, darling. You want to be ugly.
Hey, Planeteena, Britney Spears can relate. You should totally write a tell-all. Hey, not trying to be political. It's coincidental, but the episode came out around the same time.
Planetina's got a lot of responsibilities. People depend on her.
She's just a product to you, isn't she? Something to make money off of. Well, Planeteena's more than that. She's a brilliant living thing.
Wait a second, where's Rick? This show isn't and Morty. Well, I forgot to mention it, but since Rick would have stopped this episode 50 minutes early, he and Summer get their own subplot. It's super funny, and it acts as a good parallel to Mort-Tina in terms of dealing with rejection. Rick and Summer learn there's a triple doomsday event about to occur. Realizing they can party with no restrictions, they decide to have a no-strings-attached, hedonistic getaway. On the first planet, Rick breaks this rule, as he falls for Lazy Susan's alien doppelganger. I am not even kidding.
Hello!
In actuality, she's only in it so she can keep surviving, but Rick is too blinded by the knockers on her arms to notice. Sorry, this is YouTube, I can't show them. Sickos. You have Google. Use it. Eventually, Summer can't take it, and while in the middle of an alien sundae, she uses their ship to redirect the meteor that's about to hit, saving everybody. Much to their dismay.
She's the one that saved the world! Now we gotta go to work tomorrow!
Back on Earth, Morty and Planeteena start to fool around, possibly literally, only for them to sleep in when Planeteena is due for Comic-Con. This very much upsets her children, who don't like the idea of their mommy slave having a friend who actually treats her like an individual.
Idiots, zap her away!
No, wait,
Sorry, folks. Planetina will be back in a moment. Until then, who wants a limited edition Funko for only $50?
Morty learns just how bad her life is, as the Planeteers attempt to sell her to a businessman who eats baby seals for breakfast.
I'm eager to celebrate my purchase of Planeteena over dinner, and these infant seals aren't getting any younger.
I think that's meant to be political commentary. Her kids try to do whatever to separate the two, but Morty does what he does best when pushed into the corner like a frightened rattlesnake, have a mini tantrum, which equates to several deaths and untold destruction. Okay, maybe it's a good thing this kid is always around Rick, because this is how he acts when he doesn't have a babysitter. Thanks to him, Planeteena is free, and the two can finally be together. They decide to celebrate by having game night at the Smith house.
I'm finally free. All because of Morty.
What a romantic story about our son killing a room full of people.
Morty, without consulting either Beth or Jerry, asks Planeteena to move in.
Planeteena doesn't have a place to stay now, so I said she could live with us.
Actually, I have a question. Where exactly does Planeteena go or do when she isn't summoned? I never watched the old Captain Planet show. The only episode I watched was the one about overpopulation. I don't know where he lives. To Morty's surprise, Bev isn't happy that her 14-year-old son is dating an older woman, regardless of her being ageless. Nor is she happy that they're moving faster than a cheetah at the meat market.
I only want to spend as much time as possible with your son.
My son is 14, miss. I'm sorry, Morty, you're way too young.
Again, Bev legit cares for Morty. Is this proof each episode takes place in a different universe? Anger 3rd, Morty rages at Beth and goes away to be with Planetina, starting a very painful montage. Painful in a bittersweet way. Together, they help the environment, and their love grows strong, only for Planetina to turn from helpful to cuckoo banana cream pie insane in 3.5 seconds. The two confront a group of coal miners, and when they refuse to leave, Planetina loses it and slaughters them indiscriminately.
Filthy murder!
Planetina, stop it!
There's only one solution! Worst pollution!
Oh my god, no!
As Morty put everything on the line to vouch for her, this very much breaks him. Okay, this is weird. I know I say weird all the time when I should really say je ne sais quoi, but I really mean it. This is freaking weird. Planetina being an abused Captain Planet is a great concept, but the problem is, her being insane comes completely out of nowhere. It's never foreshadowed, it's never hinted at, it's never built up. It's like we missed an entire scene of her actually being crazy all along. She goes from a cinnamon roll to a double chocolate marshmallow stuffed Oreo with all the toppings and gummy bear mix-ins. Why would she suddenly go from this
Rabbits, always hopping.
Never stopping.
to this?
Can't you hear the earth screaming?
I have so many questions. Was Planetina kept in La La Land so she didn't know how badly humankind screwed up? Was she only like that because she was free? Were the Planeteers like her, only to grow up and realize their efforts were for nothing, so they just gave in? Did she have a freak out in the past? Did she know the whole time, so that's why she's locked up? A reason this doesn't work for me is they did this much better in season 2. In Morty Night Run, we meet an alien Rick's friend is supposed to kill. No, I'm not saying his name. Thinking the alien is innocent, Morty forces Rick to go on a path of destruction just to get it home, believing the end justifies the means, only to learn that if they do succeed, he's gonna come back with an army and kill all organic life.
Cleansing?
Carbon-based life is a threat to all higher life. To us, you are what you would call a disease. Wherever we discover you, we cure it.
This works because chances are, if you have a hit put on you and you're in a galactic prison, you did something to deserve it. And throughout the episode, the alien sings a song, which we later learn is all about mass killings.
Morty, why?
Goodbye.
To be fair, with Planetina, they did have one moment I think was supposed to be foreshadowing. When her and Morty are texting, she mentions that her kids don't let her watch the news, but this doesn't imply anything, and it's super easy to miss. Since Planetina said,
"Can't you hear the earth screaming?"
Maybe we could learn she's the personification of the earth, and that's why her 4 kids were chosen to be her handlers. Or, since she's now free, her and Morty could, I don't know, watch the news. Like, oh geez, Planetina, let's do something you never got to before. Or Beth and Jerry have it on in the background. Or Beth uses it to show why Morty and Planetina can't be together. I mean, Planetina is a public figure. I'm sure she has a Wikipedia page. Morty, your girlfriend isn't saving the environment when all of this is going on. Planetina could see that her hard work was for nothing. She could have a breakdown and then become this. I only mention this because when Planetina is talking to the miners, they make a good point. Their jobs suck, but they didn't choose it.
Did you see what you're doing?
Easy for you to say. You can live how you want. We need the jobs.
That could have been an excellent message. Since they're big on deconstruction, they could show why this is one reason Captain Planet wouldn't work in reality. Trying my hardest to be neutral since I hate discussing politics, Planetina can learn that environmentalism is a lot harder than it looks. Or it's more complex than just telling people, reduce, reuse, recycle. Doesn't mean you can't do your part, but one person can only do so much. I feel like when they were writing Planetina and Morty, they remembered this thing called status quo existed. So they had to drop a major bombshell at the last minute. Hey, it fits in with the story circle. Except they didn't properly imply beforehand she might be bad news, beyond the age gap, which again is no big deal considering what we've seen before. To reiterate, it's not that Planetina is a bad character. I love her character. It's that they could have made her turn around a little more natural. However, I will defend the episode in one regard. A problem I have heard some people bring up is Planetina killing miners is small potatoes compared to what Morty's seen or did. Rick committed genocide against 2 universes, just so he can keep his car battery running. Why would killing a few people make Planetina the Antichrist? I think it's because, despite the writing problem I mentioned, it proved to Morty 2 things. 1, that the girl he staked his whole life on wasn't as innocent as he thought, and nothing he'll say or do will change it.
It's so sad that when you see someone as they really are, it ruins them.
And And 2, this once again fits in with his character. He has had to learn time and time again that the universe is a cruel place, and sometimes doing a good deed will screw you over in the end. He wanted to prove to Rick they could have a fun adventure the Morty way, and for that, he got assaulted by a jelly bean. He wanted to be better than his parents, only to fail so spectacularly that his own son wrote a bestseller on his poor parenting skills. Maybe, just maybe this one time, he would stick to his guns and he would be happy. But in the end, it was for naught. And considering what kind of a person Morty is, imagine what Planetina could do if she got her hands on Rick's technology. We'd be screwed. So yes, I can understand Morty's pain here, even if he and Rick have done far worse. Unable to process what he just saw, he completely ghosts Planetina.
You murdered 300 people!
And you murdered my kids.
Sweetie, did this boy tell you anything about his life before he met you? Planetina isn't willing to change, and Morty reluctantly breaks her heart.
I can't. I can't love you. I just can't. Please understand. I'm so sorry.
You.
Wait, isn't she just gonna go and destroy stuff? Okay, I guess that's another complaint. Planetina, as a villain, is never really stopped. Like, yeah, she gets her heart broken, but she's still gonna go destroy things and kill people in the name of saving the planet.
Those innocent miners voted men into power to protect their precious jobs so they can buy more plastic garbage and eat the corpses of tortured animals. This is the only way I can save Earth.
And now that she's lost everything, and she's in a bad place mentally, there's nobody to calm her down or stop her. What are you freaking idiot? Afterwards, we get one of Justin Roiland's best acting moments, hands down.
Morty, are you alright?
She's gone, Mom. She's gone. I loved her so much.
I know you did, honey.
This scene alone convinced me Season 5 was going to be much better than Season 4. Well, that and Mr. Nimbus controlling the police. Before I end the video, I want to bring up one more point. Earlier, I mentioned how Rick and Daphne acted as a nice contrast to Morty and Planetina, especially when it comes to dealing with heartbreak.
And Grandpa, you and I can go home. Daphne, you may come with. If you want to and don't have to.
I don't know what you're getting at, Summer. Obviously, Daphne wants to...
I think this still applies. Rick has had his heart broken many times. It's part of why he's the way he is. If he lets his guard down, he ruins whatever he touches. Or the other person, or thing, ends up hurting him. So to learn that Daphne was only really after him as a meal ticket stung.
You're not mad?
I'm furious. But I have to admit it was pretty Rick of you to avert an apocalypse in a tantrum of cynicism just to destroy one dumb relationship.
Rick knows the universe is a big place. Even if nothing matters, he can always try again. Summer also acted as a good foil to her mom. While Beth wanted Morty to lay off because she was a concerned mother, Summer wanted Rick to lay off because she wanted to spend time with her grandpa. So while Summer did what she did, arguably for selfish reasons, it's still worth pointing out. Morty has always had his fair share of rejection too, but always in a sense of, you almost had it, it was right there. In this episode, he put his heart out on the line. He went after the brass ring, and he got it. But once he earned it, he realized what this came with. I'd argue this is the first real time Morty's ever felt true heartbreak, which likely added to what he was feeling earlier. Morty was never the one who had to tell them no, and if you love the other person, that's one of the hardest things you ever have to do. This is probably me looking too deeply into things, but if this is what the crew was going for, it's pretty smart. And that was the Rick Convenient Mort, and by extension, my video on Planetina and her ship with Morty. Planetina is an amazing character, and Planetina is an amazing take on the immortal human ship. Yeah, I have problems with how she was handled, but for the most part, her appearance was a good parody, and a cool guest spot for Allison Brie. Beyond the reveal, it was a pretty good episode. I wonder what's next for Planetina. Is she gonna move to Hollywood and become a ghostwriter?